Hello, guys. My name is Milan Sharma. I'm going to do a segment for you that dispels the notion that voting for a third party is not a good idea. I'm going to go against that. I believe that it is a good idea. The Washington Post has said, and other numerous sources have said, that Hillary Clinton will win the election, most likely, even though, despite all these WikiLeaks revelations, and I do agree that these WikiLeaks revelations are very important for the public to know, to reveal the corruption of the Clinton Foundation, with the Department of Justice intervening and stopping the FBI from investigating the Clinton Foundation, as well with the media colluding with the Clinton campaign, John Podesta, Neera Tanden, etc. But she has a 90% chance of winning the election. She's definitely going to win California, New York, and most likely Pennsylvania, and most likely Florida, four of the biggest states in the United States in electoral votes. So I'm going to give you, and this is from Jill2016.com, her response to people that question voting for third parties and the many excuses they use. So I'm just going to read it off here. So one is, people say voting for the Green Party is a wasted vote. Does it accomplish anything? So, I'm gonna read the response here and then comment afterward. Yes, each vote for the Green Party helps to build the party, both by building critical mass and by qualifying for concrete benefits with the party reaching its certain threshold of votes. Getting at least 5% of the popular vote on election day qualifies us for $10 million in federal matching funds, so we can build a party for the 99%. In many states, getting anywhere from 1 to 5% of the vote earns the Green Party a ballot line. That's very important. So when she's on the ballot, she's an option that ordinary Americans can see. If she's not on the ballot, then the American people have no idea who she is, because the Commission of Presidential Debates, which is controlled by the Democratic and Republican Party elites, didn't want Gary Johnson and Jill Stein to participate in the debates because they didn't want other voices. They just want to hear the Democratic corporatists and the Republican corporatist nominees, because they both meet the requirements of their standards, which basically means, well, and the notion that the threshold is 15%, it's impossible to reach 15%, almost impossible. Only 20% of people that are polled know at all about third parties and the candidates at all about the third parties. So it's very, very deceptive, and they meet their requirements, meaning that the corporatists, Democrats and Republicans, they both want to cut taxes from Wall Street. George W. Bush made a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires. Obama made it permanent. Bill Clinton deregulated Wall Street, created NAFTA, which Democrats voted against, but half Democrats voted for it when Bill Clinton was president. He gutted welfare. I mean, all these things, the corporations win in it with the corporate Democrats. So voting for Green is not a wasted vote, in my opinion, and I don't believe it is a wasted vote at all, because when they claim Ralph Nader stole the election from Gore, that's not true. 12% of Democrats voted for Bush. Over 10%, 12% of Democrats voted for George W. Bush. And if you don't question the electoral system, if a person wins over 500,000 votes, over 500,000 votes, why aren't they the president of the United States? You don't question that. You don't question our election system. Why don't we have elections that win from plurality? These are questions that we need to be asking. Next, isn't voting Green an act of white, straight, able-bodied, or cisgender males? No, absolutely not. That argument attempts to deny that many people from marginalized communities, including vice presidential candidate Jamu Baraka, who supported the Stein-Baraka campaign and running as Green candidates, people who support Hillary Clinton's corporatist neoliberal policies, which are responsible for the oppression of women, people of color, which is the crime bill in the 1990s, and which incarcerated many African Americans and other marginalized communities at home around the world are the truly privileged ones. They are comfortable enough to withstand 4 years of a rigged economy, systematic racism, and unjust war. And wars that have interventionist wars ever since the war on terrorism. Terrorism has been on the rise. We spent over $5.5 trillion on the war on the war against terrorism. And what has it resulted in? The Taliban now control more territory than before the invasion. There's instability in Libya. There's instability in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have over 7,000 troops in Afghanistan, over 4,000 troops in Iraq. And yet, ISIS still controls it. It doesn't stop the propaganda. You cannot bomb terrorism out of its existence. Drone strikes have only increased terrorism and really left citizens to suffer. Citizens have been, or not citizens, civilians, excuse me. Okay, so only over 90% of the time, or excuse me, 90% of the time, drones miss their strikes. What does that mean? They mostly kill civilians. Dozens of civilians have died in a recent one. Another one, we'll see over 60 people from the Syrian army and 100 people from the Syrian army, or over 60 people in the Syrian army actually died from an airstrike, and over 100 have been injured. And this is only helping ISIS. It's isolating the civilians, and it's helping ISIS. And that's a very, very big problem that I'm worried about. Against systematic racism, yet when whites and blacks have marijuana at almost the exact same rate, blacks and Latinos are 4 times as likely to be arrested than whites. That's obviously racism there. And the economy has been serving the top 1%. Stocks have been rising. Corporations have been making record profits, and yet we still have 45 million people struggling to make ends meet in the United States in poverty. We spend the most on healthcare, yet we're ranked 42nd in the world. And the real unemployment rate is over 12% because they don't count the people that have part-time jobs. So, I mean, it's really, if you take everything into account, our country as a whole has not really been improving. The top 1% has been improving, yes, but not everybody else.